But now we move to the left.
We're going to do Muppet of the Month.
Yeah, yeah. We move to the less than edifying end of this month's gathering. And this is the story.
I'm sorry, I just can't think about this without laughing. Anyway, this is seriously. I'm sorry. It's a serious story about serious damage to our.
It is, yeah. It's tragic. The story of. I'll just read the headline. So get it out of the way. Anger at bird hide damage to Neolithic burial site. This is the story of a bird hide that was put on to Cairn glass, a Neolithic chambered cairn in Scotland, which was first actually excavated first recorded in 1881 and stood at a height of 21 feet. That's pretty darn big. By the time it was formally excavated in 1902, it had reduced dramatically in size, presumably due to local people robbing stones for dry walls, this kind of thing. And what was found in those early excavations and then repeated excavations later in the 1950s was evidence of Neolithic people, so arrowheads and this kind of thing. But the most recent incursion onto the site by modern people has been in the form of people who are looking to spot bird life. And I mean, the thing is, I can understand the logic. Someone might go, that's a good solid foundation. But
perhaps I should describe what they actually did, though, because they wanted to spot birds.
Yeah.
So
they tipped over
from the photograph that's published on the BBC website, which you're probably looking at as well as we discuss this.
Yeah.
And obviously our viewer can go and look it up for themselves. We have this blasted heath above Inverness. It's a pretty wide open space.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, okay. If you're a twitcher, if you're a bird watcher, you might want to disguise your presence from the local avian fauna.
Yeah.
But why you have to do it particularly on top of a prehistoric cairn? But anyway, we'll leave that aside. There's quite a lot of space there to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And presumably, the fact that the cairn is made up of lots of stones makes it quite difficult to fix this structure too. So perhaps there was maybe the ground. There must have been somewhere easier to put the thing anyway. But what they've done, they've taken a sort of forklift pallet.
Yeah.
And then they've built what I can only describe as a cross between the TARDIS and a Portaloo.
Yeah.
On top of it, but clearly homemade.
With some really dodgy, Sorry.
Yeah, and then they've tried to sort of camouflage it in the way that a child might make a cardboard box into a vehicle for their action man.
Yeah, yeah.
Except the whole thing is now lying on its side.
Yeah.
As though it's been pulled over or blown over. So I mean,
it's quite simply a massive act of muppetry. It's. I mean, the even if I'm trying just to go, okay, fair enough, it's a bird hide, let's just go with that. Even as a bird hide, this thing, the colour, the green doesn't match the surrounding landscape. The black blobs are just sort of arbitrary. I mean, from you were talking about sort of artistic temperament in the previous segment. I have a background in art. I could have been an artist if I wasn't an archaeologist. And my sense of sort of balance here when it comes to the black and green is really quite insulted. It's just an ugly thing that they've produced here.
You could see it as a piece of conceptual art.
You could. Okay.
It's an installation. You see it as an installation, and maybe take away the fact that it was on a nationally important protected monument, and they were sticking steel pins in to try and keep the thing upright. But you could see it as a piece of conceptual art. It's like a a sort of a Cairn glass sculpture trail.
Yeah, it's almost. I mean, to be fair, if I didn't know that that's what it was, it does look as though it's an alien landing site. It's like something's just gone.
Don't get into ancient aliens.
No, what I'm saying is, it could be like a statement about this is our impact on this landscape. Whack, but it's ugly. It's
Oh,
ugly,
no,
and
actually, no,
it's
that's what it is. It is. It's an artistic statement about the impact of human beings on Cairn glass. As you were saying, originally it was 21 feet high, and it's been degraded in the last 200 years. So actually, it's saying it's symbolising the human impact and the danger that humans represent to heritage. Uh,
Oh, I see. And so every evening there's like an interpretive dance that takes place around it as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
As
sort
the
of
sun
people.
goes across, as the sun goes across, you can follow the shadows, and
Yeah, yeah. I
in fact,
see.
I bet it lines up with the solstice.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, yeah. And that piece of Cairn that they've wedged into
Yeah.
the palette there, just to give it a bit more weight. That would be symbolic as well, probably of something. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So
I love the comment from as you'd expect, the authorities are quite po-faced about it, and but the Caithness Broch project, which is a Highland archaeology group, which is quoted in the BBC report. It's an absolute gem, and it just says, top tip: when erecting a hide, don't do it over a 3,000-year-old burial cairn.
yeah, yeah. It just interestingly here, 18 years ago, a Belgian tourist took a stone from nearby Claver cairns as a souvenir before returning it after complaining that it had cursed his family. It again, another top tip: just don't do it. Don't, if you know whether you think it might be cursed or whatever, just don't do it. Don't do it. Just Muppets, just Muppets.
Absolutely. And actually, to be fair, Muppets, we were talking about heritage crime just now, who actually could end up in court because, as the Historic Environment Scotland a spokesperson said, we are aware a temporary structure has been erected at Cairn Glass without scheduled monument consent.
Temporary structure.
Yeah, a temporary structure. Yeah, a camouflage portal. We are currently undertaking actions in line with our enforcement policy to ensure the structure is removed.
Yeah, yeah. No, I bet.
Yeah. One hopes that the enforcement action involves, well, you can use your imagination.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, if I can make like a serious point though about this.
Yeah.
I think there's an element here whereby this is one of the downsides to the main focus of national and international discussion surrounding Neolithic, Bronze Age transition sort of monuments, being focused on sites like Stonehenge.
Yeah.
People forget that there are other types of monuments. That all of these monuments are part of a likely some sort of cultural movement, but also crucially, often in the case of cairns, they're in that place for a reason. Stonehenge itself has to be interpreted in the context of its landscape.
Absolutely.
And so I can't help but think that again, we're often interested in this question of how these stories come to the public's focus, whether or not actually, again, this is yet another argument for the fact that we should be publicly having conversations that are beyond Stonehenge, and all of these comparisons. Everything that's found is a new Stonehenge, the South American Stonehenge, the Stonehenge of China. People fixate on one thing, and then they tend to forget that actually, especially in a place like Britain, the density of these monuments is such that actually it's entirely possible that someone will just come along and go, let's put a bird hide on there.
Yes.
I suppose what I'm trying to say is I'm trying not to just go that person. Yes, they're a Muppet, but they didn't necessarily have, evil intent. They simply did not, benefit of the doubt, did not know what they were doing and where they were placing that thing is a bad place to put it. And I think maybe this is an argument for a broader understanding and conversation about especially the prehistoric landscape of Britain.
I think I'd stretch it further than that, actually. I just think it's an absolutely classic example of why archaeologists need to fully engage with communities in terms of identifying and interpreting the heritage of all periods, which they, form the landscapes that we live in.
Yeah. Well, because I mean,
the more you can eliminate the the ignorance, then the easier it is to identify the deliberate ignorance or even the malign
Or even willful ignorance.
heritage criminals.
Yeah. So for it reminds me of a couple of years ago. There was a story of the guy who, what was it? He filled in a section of Offa's Dyke on his land to build a shed, I think. That's willful ignorance. And I know he said, "Oh, I didn't know the monument was there." And I think at the time I made an argument for, again, generalised education, so that maybe when you buy a piece of land that has a monument on it, you are told this is a monument. Please don't build on it. But I mean, to take what you were saying and sort of to put it another way, there's no way that these guys would build a bird hide on top of a castle. Even if you wouldn't do it. And so, whether it's ignorance, whether it's willful ignorance, whether it's just to put it more charitably, a case of generalised access to education and knowledge about these landscapes, something has to change. But ultimately, it is hilarious. Just one question: what is that sort of rectangle that they've spray painted black on the top meant to be? I don't understand what that could be. What did it at one time have like a sign on it saying "Home Sweet Home"? I mean, it's
I mean, it looks like they've sort of put in a shelf to put the vase of flowers on or something. I don't know. I mean, yeah, there are a number of design decisions that they appear to have made, which shall we say, questionable?
Exactly. Yeah. Lawrence Llewellyn Bowen
Unclear.
wasn't okay. Yeah. What is this thing? The design is everywhere. Muppets, undeniably.